end quote. Which leads me to the central point of this segment today. We live in a time when anybody with an internet connection can broadcast their views and opinions to an audience larger than even the biggest newspapers could have hoped to reach just a few decades ago. Any person or group of persons can utilize the internet to disseminate information which they think others should have access to. This can take the form of amateur news and analysis programs such as the Australian Roundtable Podcast and its sister website AusRoundtable.com, or individual projects such as the many YouTube channels and blogs which exist to do similar work. And the line between these endeavors and seemingly minor contributions such as posts on Facebook, etc., is so blurry that any attempts to stifle one is necessarily an attempt to stifle the other. Now, whereas the press was once a monolithic and largely uniform entity, the press is now anybody and everybody with access to the internet and an opinion to share. In other words, the press is you. Yes, you listening to this podcast right now. When you post a status update on Facebook, you are disseminating information to the world. When you comment on somebody's YouTube channel or retweet something or post a link on Reddit, you are disseminating information to the world. So whether you're aware of it or not, and whether you like it or not, you are now in the sphere of mass access public discourse. With or without intention, you are helping to mold the opinions and interests of those not only around you, but around the world. And this is of vital importance for two major reasons. The first is that any attack upon the rights of the established press, such as the censorship of the anti-Israeli cartoon as discussed on last week's show, is also an attack on you personally. Once you understand this fundamental truth of our times, you'll be faced with the two options in front of you whenever you are attacked. Defend yourself or hide like a child and hope that somebody else will protect you. The second reason is that although the established press could once depend on things like the Constitution or the judiciary, such as the Supreme Court of the United States, to defend the rights of the press, it is blindingly obvious that this is no longer the case. But we have a weapon at our disposal much more powerful than any courtroom or even any police force. Numbers. There are simply far too many of us to shut us all up if we all voice our opinions on the important topics whenever we can. There are not enough prisons, there are not enough courtrooms to silence us all, not even close. And no matter what the enemies of truth do to any single one of us, whether that is public humiliation, bankruptcy, imprisonment, or worse, one thing will never change, and that is the truth. And since we happen to be on the side of truth, we have absolutely nothing to fear. And that is why the enemies of truth are in such a hurry to take away our rights and freedoms, because, thanks to the internet, too many people are waking up. They're waking up to the corruption of our governments and the false left-right paradigm, waking up to the bankers' wars, waking up to the false flags, waking up to the evils of usury and money lending, waking up to the systemic lies and propaganda of the corporate media, waking up to the deception of the so-called alternative media, waking up to the real agenda behind non-corporate information outlets like the 100% compromised Wikipedia, waking up to the subversion of our so-called education system, waking up to the damage done to our societies by cultural Marxism and the second wave feminism, multiculturalism and social justice worries it has unleashed upon us, and waking up to this entire bullshit system our enemies have slowly molded around us while we slept. And most scarily of all for the enemies of truth, waking up to the power we have within us as individuals and as a collective, if only we make that which is true and good our sole objective in life. Yes, if I were the enemies of truth, I too would be scared, because their days are surely numbered. It is not too late for any individual within their ranks to repent for their sins against us, the innocent people of the world, and to join us in the better times which await. However, as a collective, there will only be one ultimate destination for the enemies of truth, and that is not one I would wish upon even my worst of enemies. Which brings me back to the article I cited at the top of this segment. The Vicar was forced to apologize for posting a link on his Facebook to a website which alleges that Israel was behind 9/11. Regardless of whether or not these claims are true, it is simply not anti-Semitic to make these claims, and anybody who seeks to stop you from investigating the truth for yourself is quite simply an enemy of the truth. And the enemy of the truth is an enemy of mine, and dare I say of yours too. Sadly, some of the greatest enemies of truth on the planet today happen to be Jewish, and this is partly because the truth does not shine a good light on Israel. If it is as true as I believe that most Jews are as much victims of the real rulers of the world today as the rest of us are, and that most Jews would never seek to enslave the Gentiles of the world in the way that the elite Zionists clearly and often openly do, then this will be borne out by a full and frank public discussion of the facts of history, including World War II history, the facts of what happened on 9/11, the facts surrounding our endless wars in the Middle East and who really benefits from them, the facts surrounding who controls our media in Western countries and who controls the world's monetary systems and who controls so many other fundamentally important institutions of modern society. This full and frank public discussion is one that the enemies of truth are trying to suppress each and every time they label a truth seeker an anti-Semite. And I, for one, will not allow them to suppress my attempts to find and spread the truth. And more importantly, though, it is abundantly clear that all over the world, other people are beginning to feel the same way. The tide is turning, my friends, and I feel blessed to be sharing this moment in history with our listeners. May the greater good, whatever that is, bless us all. I have faith that truth will win out. Ethan, what say you?